I think we're tired of seeing superhero the way we've seen it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And to be honest, James Gunn is not going to change that, okay?
Nope.
Just because he has a humorous Guardians of the Galaxy franchise success.
Or a few other interesting things.
Right. He's not going to change the format. Where are we seeing success right now? We're seeing success with the Batman, the Joker. We're going to see success with the Joker 2. We're going to see success with the Batman 2 Part 2. And honestly, it's because it's these unique directors. Ethan, you at least know about Amber Heard, don't you?
Oh my gosh, don't
and like the depths that she went through to ruin a man's career.
I know.
You got to understand. There's layers here.
That's such a stupid joke.
Dude.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Wacky, Wonderful Wiseworks podcast. We're so glad you've chosen to join us here today because we know that you are either a guy, a gal, a geek, or a goofball. Any of those options work. And
all on the spectrum.
Right. This is a podcast for people on that spectrum.
Not the spectrum.
Not the
don't get confused. A spectrum.
Right.
Just any spectrum.
Any spectrum. Well, do you think we're being I don't want to use the word because it's at the beginning of the podcast. Do you think we're being selective in a negative way because we start with guys, gals?
No. I think that just kind of caters to the predominant demographic of the world of people who are either a guy or a gal. That's most people, I think.
There is such a loud, small group of people that do not identify as either of those.
But we don't necessarily exclude those people.
No.
We say guys, gals. We say geeks and goofballs.
Right. If you fall those.
If you fall under the geeks and goofballs category and you feel the need to watch us, I don't necessarily – we don't talk politics or anything usually on this podcast too much. But I don't necessarily want to exclude anybody who wants to join in and talk,
right?
As long as they also don't want to talk politics necessarily.
Right. That's important.
We do openly kind of let people know that we are like Christian people,
Christian people.
But part of that creed is, kind of loving everybody and recognizing that everybody, people are people. People are humans, and we're all kind of living this life together.
And rallying behind something like movies and entertainment,
movies and TV. If you can kind of resonate with us, I think we can have a conversation, and that's where it starts.
100%.
That's where friendship and everything starts. You guys may, if you're a regular here on the show, you may recognize that there's something a little bit different.
Just a touch.
A little bit strange. Yes. It is a Predator action figure. You may not be able to see it super well, but it's Wolf from Alien vs. Predator Requiem, which is a terrible movie, but has one of the coolest Predators.
Now it is just a little tiny man on your shoulder. Now, since
he's got he's got the double plasma casters. He's got the whip. He's got the spear. He's just so cool.
Right.
Ethan's here as well.
Yeah, Ethan is here. Now we've had Ethan on, on the midnight special a handful of times, and we have a video version of that. Not a lot of people see him. I don't know how often Ethan has shown his face on.
I'm not sure Ethan has actually been on the main podcast. Have you?
I have not. I think this is my first.
No. When we did Wednesday guest episodes a while ago.
Yeah. I've been on one. I think
he was on a Wednesday guest episode.
One or two midnight specials and then a guest episode, but nothing much more.
It's been a while. Well, he's subbing in for Josh. Josh is away for the weekend, visiting some family.
My family,
doing what you do.
Apparently, my family's having a freaking reunion this weekend and didn't seem to even give me a heads up. Like, hey, we know you won't be able to come to
All the
this.
family's going to be there. Nobody's going to be able to meet your new baby.
Everybody.
Yep.
That's so fun.
Everybody's going to be at the house apparently, and I'm going to be down here in Florida.
Josh will represent.
I don't want him to be my representative of the family. His
modus operandum
Right.
is very different.
Very different. I mean, and even in the familial dynamic, we hold very different statuses, right?
Uh-huh.
Extremely
Like
different
you're like a
status.
higher caste and he's a lower caste, or the other way around.
Yeah. Consider me above the line and Joshua below the line.
Ouch.
You know what
Wow.
I'm saying? When it comes to familial dynamics. Now, in my mom's mind, because he's the baby, he'll always
Yes.
be above the line. But
Baby.
in
Oh,
everyone
definitely.
else's opinion,
Dude,
I'm above the line.
the baby privilege is one of the worst.
Strongest
It's
point of
one of the
privilege.
strongest. It's one of the worst, honestly.
Right.
Yeah, you
I
have
think my dad came out pretty well. He got baby privilege, but
Ask
he
his
came out
siblings.
right.
Ask his
He
siblings.
came out all right.
Mhm.
Based on what I know from baby privilege, my mom also is a baby. She got tons of baby. She's also the only girl in her family. So
Right.
baby privilege on top of being the only girl, spoiled as heck. And then
oh my gosh.
William, I mean Bobby Hill.
I love
The
you,
more
Dad.
I watch King of the Hill, the more I realize William is kind of like Bobby.
He is
sort of
Bobby Hill.
ADHD, kind of just weird.
Afraid of everything.
That
Right.
boy ain't right. kind
6
of.
o'clock in the morning already. That boy
Gosh
ain't
dang
right.
it, Bobby.
I love it.
Now
yeah.
listen, the baby privilege is a big deal. Now, Ethan, you are far from being a baby.
Oh, I never
Explain,
experienced the baby.
just for people that's never seen
I'm a
you
middle-
before,
I'm a
you
middle
got
child.
John Mark, Wyatt. Then you got
Me.
Ethan.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Then you got 2 sisters and a younger brother, right?
Yeah. So I never got the baby privilege.
You
I got
couldn't
the
have had it.
yeah.
You couldn't have had it.
If
I
you
was
had made
always treated differently because Wyatt was talking earlier and he said I was more like a creature. I was always treated like the one you have to
look, you weren't
make sure he's not
treated.
running
You weren't
around everywhere.
treated differently. You acted differently. You were treated
I
differently
acted
because you were
different. I
different.
was treated differently because I acted differently.
And
But
you could have been the baby. You could have received baby privilege if you didn't make our parents want another child,
Right.
want a better child.
Want a
They
better child.
needed
They're
to
like,
get
do
me
over.
they needed to get me in the middle child position to where they could kind of leave me and
Yeah,
focus on someone else.
focus on something
Look,
else.
This is the kind of kid Ethan was. Ethan, as a little baby, you'd snuggle him, like, so cute, little baby, and then all of a sudden you'd feel like a sharp pain, and he'll be like gnawing on your love handle or something. You know what I mean?
A sharp pain is the best way to describe Ethan.
A sharp pain, right?
A sharp,
I don't
and continuous pain.
I don't ever remember dining on your love handles.
Oh, you dined on many a love handle,
And you
I know
punched
for sure.
many
Many a
a
stomach.
groin.
Many a groin.
Many a
Well,
groin,
when
many a
that's your-
stomach.
When you're at eye level with a groin, I mean, it's the easiest. It's like a
He's like,
a punching bag.
I'll be honest. Look, Ethan
man.
has never come across something he didn't like punching. Right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm serious.
Boys,
Even today,
girls,
I look at
animals.
people, and the first thing I think of is, what would it be like if I could punch them right now, just right in the schnoz?
He has to
What would
hold
they
back
look like?
that animal.
Right. All right. So freaking getting off of baby privilege, getting off of Ethan punching wieners.
Yeah, let's just drop that.
Let's get into the first thing. I'm curious what Wyatt's
Oh.
presented today.
Oh, you would just want to jump into the first thing already.
I want to get
Wow.
into it. I want to get into it because I've sampled the slides here, and I want to see where we're heading with all this.
Well, look, we talked about this quite a bit of, what's going on with the superhero genre, what's going on with DC. You guys might remember back, there was a really big push from Dwayne Johnson himself that Black Adam was successful. It
Right.
wasn't. Did not make all the money back that it needed.
Mm-mm.
But the Black Adam was successful. Now, in a recent interview on Kevin Hart's podcast, I guess.
Oh,
If it's not called Heart to Heart, then I don't know what he's doing.
I think it is. I think it's on Peacock, right?
I think so. But it's on Kevin Hart's podcast, and he says, I think he really kind of admits failure here. He says, we were bogged down with COVID stuff, which is understandable. We were bogged down with, kind of the studio taking a new direction. And what he reiterates on a lot in the, what he reiterates on a lot in the, his statement, I guess, is new leadership. There was new leadership. There were things changing. There was new leadership. There were things changing. And what he's talking about, obviously, is the DC reboot, James Gunn coming in and starting a new DC universe.
Right.
So
okay.
let's. I'll read real quick what he says in the interview. I know you have that article pulled up. We don't have to see the article necessarily, but if you want to read it,
do you have it pulled up? No, I have something for Dune and I have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I do.
You know what? My mistake.
No, check this out. Is this the interview?
It is. Yes. Yeah. Right. I think so.
Let's just play it and let's see what
play it. Yeah.
All right. Tell me if you can hear this. Give me a thumbs up.
Black Adam, big opening. Huge. Yeah. By the way, the thing that's crazy about it being so fucking big, your fan base is engaged. Everybody's engaged.
Whoa. Spoiler. Hide your kids, hide your wife, I guess. They're discussing in this.
Watchers, viewer description advised, there is some swearing in this. It's
cursing beware. Cursing
beware. Yeah.
And it is called Heart to Heart, by the way. I don't know if you pulled out your butt, but that's exactly
what I love that.
He knows how to run a show.
He knows how to market, yeah.
All right.
You make an announcement, and your announcement is talking about, hey, we're not going to continue the world of Black Adam, right? Yeah. For me, I'm curious. I want to know why, especially when there's such a successful opening. You seem to have the appetite from your fan base for more. What's the reason or the reasons for the stopping of Black Adam?
I think that Black Adam
He's treading lightly.
got caught in a vortex of new leadership.
He's not
wrong.
And
at that time, as we were creating Black Adam, developing it, shooting Black Adam, we got knocked down a little bit because of COVID and the shutdowns, got back
also
up.
Not wrong.
There was so many changes in leadership. And as you know, anytime you have a company, but especially that size and magnitude, that's a publicly traded company, and you have all those changes in leadership, you have people coming in who creatively, fiscally are going to make decisions that you may not agree with philosophically. So I think Black Adam was one of those movies that got caught in that web of new leadership. And, that will always be one of the biggest mysteries, I think, not only for me and us on our end, but also throughout our business, because that's a Kevin question. But that was a question out of Wall Street. That was a question out of Hollywood. That was a question like, wait a second. You had the biggest opening of your career. Sure, no China. That could have been maybe 100, maybe 200 more million dollars. You're establishing a new superhero. You want to grow out the franchise. You bring back Superman and Henry Cavill. The world went crazy. And also, too, and you were texting me this on opening weekend, is we created a diverse superhero portfolio where we had just men and women of color, in Black Adam too as well. So I
was more.
It wasn't super diverse. It was mostly kind of racially ambiguous people in a made-up country.
Right. And he brought up Henry Cavill as Superman.
Now, people love Cavill as Superman. People 100%. Really do love him. And I think that was really kind of the grounding point for a lot of people of like, oh man, it would be, the movie maybe not is super great, but this character, Black Adam, who's kind of anti-hero-ish, with or versus Henry Cavill's Superman is super interesting, and we would like to see that. But he's right. leadership has changed. I don't think it's 100% the leadership changing that made this movie fail.
Right.
We have to recognize that the movie itself wasn't good. The dialogue wasn't good. A
Now,
lot of the
along with
CG
that,
wasn't good.
do you think he could, because he doesn't want to come out and say it just ended up not being good. When he says leadership changes, do you think underneath that he means like rewrites
Yes,
and
I think
pushing things
perhaps he
along
does.
too quickly than it needed to be?
I think perhaps he does, but we have to look at this for what it is. Ethan, did you watch Black Adam? No, understandable. I didn't watch it till very recently, and it's not. Let me make sure my phone's turned down. It's not super great. It really kind of meanders a bit, and then has a weird villain at the end. Pierce Brosnan is in there, and I like Pierce. It's kind of a strange movie. But
Now,
I think with James Gunn coming in and James Gunn changing the universe, maybe that was happening during when they made this movie.
perhaps.
But from what I know, that didn't happen until later. So he says leadership changing a whole bunch of times in this interview, but maybe that was starting to happen during this time with Black Adam, but I'm going to be honest, I don't think that happened until later.
Right. There's 2 minutes left on this. I'm curious to see what else he has to say. Can we watch this?
Yeah, play it.
Let's see what he has to say, because he's not explaining necessarily why Adam's not continuing. So let's see what he says about that.
I was impressed by the execution.
Yeah.
I know how Black Adam, how close the movie was, the project, and that was one that was near and dear to your heart. And cracking the code, it seemed that cracking the code on the world of superhero is something, of course, that you were very ambitious about doing. And what I thought you did, I was like, oh, that's dope as fuck.
No, he did.
He put his mind to it, and he did it. Like,
no,
the shit's happening. They're in production. They're shooting the movie. Fuck, it's done.
They made the movie.
Damn, release the trailer. Shit look good. DJ, congrats. Fuck.
It was a cool slow motion scene, I will say.
Then release the movie. Movie has success behind it. You get some positive dollars in the goddamn box office behind it in a time where the box office seemed to be taking hits, dips. So I don't know. It was a weird thing for me, and just not knowing. But to hear you say that, it makes sense. You know, when there's a changing of the guard, sometimes the business changes as well, and rightfully so, right? Like, we can't be a part of the world of why on that side, but and giving them the best opportunity to make more and do more, that's our job. That's where we come in.
Exactly.
Look,
and I think it as
I'm probably going to reiterate this a ton of times.
Right. Go ahead for it.
Look, we all know that the change in leadership wasn't known just across the board, especially when they were putting out this movie, when they were making this movie.
Right.
Because Henry Cavill was like, I'm back as Superman. And then James Gunn's like, no, he's not. And he's like, I guess I'm not back as Superman. That happened way after the release of this movie, after he had come back in a post-credit scene in this movie. So I don't want to say that they're just blaming the new change in leadership, but it feels kind of like that to me. Now, Kevin Hart is saying that it was successful. He's saying, it was interesting. He's wrong. Kevin Hart hasn't had a successful movie in years, over a decade.
Right.
No, not over a decade. He had one good, serious movie on Netflix that came out a while ago.
He also did a show that was incredibly good, but it didn't get a lot of traction, about kind of like a fictionalized, but he's playing himself story, right?
Yeah. I just think it's they're making stuff up because they're actors.
He also points out the fact that he says something's true. He says that we can't necessarily say why something is or isn't happening. Again, all that's not for us to decide. All we can decide is like
Yeah.
give the franchise the best opportunity to continue. And that's very true from the standpoint of an actor. However,
Absolutely.
However, sometimes the actor can be the biggest drain on an idea. You know, you are the one on camera. And I'm not saying that Dwayne didn't do a good job as Black Adam or like
He
give it a
and
good go. But
he did his best. He really, and I applaud him for this. He really tried hard to promote the movie, make people want to go see it. He marketed it on his energy drink. He did a lot,
right.
and that's good. That's a good thing to do, and he really wanted people to watch it and see it and have a good time. And I applaud any actor who does that for their movies. But Ethan, have you seen the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie?
Probably not.
Okay,
Just started
but you've
streaming.
seen the two previous Guardians of the Galaxy, both both directed by James Gunn.
Yeah,
and you know that he's taking over the DC universe, right?
now I do. Yes.
So he's taking. Now you do. He's taking over he's going to be rebooting the DC universe. So I think there's some other slides. There's James Gunn. Gosh, he looks like a hack. And you're right. I know we've talked about this in previous podcasts, Joe, but you said directors need a look. He's found his look. It just looks like a Mythbuster.
He does look like a Mythbuster, but because there's literally a Mythbuster that looks just like him.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's his look. It's like
his look. Whatever.
And the thing is, sometimes your look is chosen for you. Just to go.
Nah,
on
he
this real
chose that
quickly.
look.
No, because sometimes a certain person's hair texture, head shape.
Okay.
Do you need glasses?
I
agree.
agree.
Do you have good vision? You know what I mean?
His head does look
Skin
like it
tone,
tapers. My head tapers as well.
Yeah, all of these things
I understand.
Are out of your control, and you have to create the look with what you've been given. And usually people have 1 to 3 looks they would be okay with, and they have to make a choice on one of those, right?
I want everybody to recognize, you see my head tapers.
right.
Ethan's head does not taper.
Nope.
Yeah, Ethan in my head looks
right.
solid.
I've got it, and I can see Gunn's head tapers like mine.
Yeah,
so he needs a little bit of volume out
on the side. And
but that's not what we're talking about. The next slide really kind of, I think, sums up this top section here. Is the last movies of the previous Marvel or DCEU.
Okay, so let's call them out. We got Shazam. That was a flop.
That was a flop. Flash, flop. Blue Beetle is going to be a flop. Yep. And Aquaman, I predict, is going to be a flop.
I think Aquaman's going to give us some of the best memes ever. With Amber Heard probably like dying off early in the film because of her toxicity.
Mm-hmm.
Ethan, you at least know about Amber Heard, don't you?
Oh my gosh, don't
and like the depths that she went through to ruin a man's career.
I know.
You got to understand. There's layers here.
That's such a stupid joke.
Dude, Johnny Depp and oceans because she's a mermaid. Dude, okay. That was a beautiful joke.
That's a really good.
Let's snapshot that one right there. Right. No, ignoring that, these are all flops.
Yeah.
Right? This is the previous generation. Now, James Gunn has said that Blue Beetle is kind of going to kick off the new, and that's what this
he probably has to say that.
That's what this second tier is. I think he's doing a pity thing here.
Yeah.
I don't think he's playing Blue Beetle into his
He
thing.
also doesn't want the studio to not make any money at the beginning of his legacy.
His tenure.
Right, his tenure.
But I mean, he's got just some wild. Nobody cares about Creature Commandos. Nobody cares about Waller. I'm sorry. Nobody does.
The Lanterns is interesting.
People like Green Lantern. Here's the Authority, Swamp Thing, Supergirl, Booster Gold, Paradise Lost. Nobody cares. Here's what people care about in DC: Superman,
Mm-hmm.
Batman,
Right.
Wonder Woman, the Justice League.
That's it.
The main. Look, people
Wonder
can
Woman's
get
not on here.
no. People can get invested in the other Justice League members as time goes on, but if you're not opening up with Batman,
Or
the
Superman.
Brave and the Bold is an interesting one because a lot of kids have fond memories of the TV show Batman the Brave and the Bold.
Mm-hmm.
Superman, though, that's the leading character for DC, and replacing Henry Cavill is an interesting move. Especially, we've seen the actor who's replacing him. He's less good Henry Cavill. Then, of course, we have here at the bottom our, I guess, what we're calling
Elseworld.
Joker, Batman, the
Joker
next
2.
Joker with what's her face?
Another Batman 2.
Another Batman. Teen Titans and Lois, Superman and Lois doesn't count.
Okay.
Those are sort of Elseworld stories.
Apparently everything up to this point, I guess besides Blue Beetle, is going to be considered Elseworld as well, right?
Yeah, Ethan, we're looking at a big roster here in the middle. As a casual, okay? as a normie who doesn't really watch these stuff unless it comes out on streaming nowadays, what would you want to watch from this listing?
The first thing I would want to watch is Batman the Brave and the Bold.
Batman the Brave and the Bold.
That's it.
Right.
I mean, because growing up, we were always watching, the Batman, the cartoon Batman, especially. And when we were introducing William to TV shows, it was the cartoon classic Batman. And that framed a lot of
the animated series.
William's first few years where he was thinking Batman.
And
it was definitely the same with us.
Granted, he was thinking Joker. William
did like the Joker.
For some reason, likes bad guys. That says a lot about his character.
I love bad guys. I loved bad guys when I was a kid. They were my favorite.
But
you don't know any of these other things, do you? You don't
know
what Booster Gold is.
No. I don't know. The only things I know are Green Lantern, Superman, Supergirl, even though I hate that, Batman the Brave and the Bold. I recognize Paradise Lost, but not very much.
Okay.
And Blue Beetle, I recognize that.
Okay.
Teen Titans, of course, I recognize that. And stuff.
Right.
So
it's interesting, that normies don't recognize any of these. Now, I don't think a lot of normies recognize what was going on with Marvel, but I think people, even at the beginning, knew, I've heard of the Avengers.
Right. Well, sort of.
Right?
Sort of.
Well, the Avengers...
Iron Man, people kind of knew who these characters were. Thor, people kind of knew who these characters were.
You got to, you got to understand most of everything they did, especially in, the main Avengers, Infinity War was in the comics. So I was working at a lumberyard at that time, and the hype for everyone there who was,
comic enthusiasts,
18 literally 18 to 55, it was Avengers Infinity War, because they had almost everyone at the lumberyard had all read the comics, and they were all going out to see Infinity War opening night. It
had been like 10 to 12 years by that point of Avengers movies and Marvel movies.
And the Infinity War is the follow-up to Endgame. Well, no, Infinity War
is the follow-up.
Endgame's so people were more interested in Infinity War than they, in your opinion, Ethan, before there was like the big snap, that everyone talks about.
Yeah, I think so.
There was more interest around that. Is it because of Thanos? Like just that iconic comic character for the Avengers with Thanos? Do you think that was where the nostalgia came from?
I think that the for those guys, especially those older guys at the lumberyard, that I talked to, all of them had grown up with the Marvel comics, and they were excited to see, their childhood, nostalgic memories play out on the screen,
Right.
as they had kind of imagined it as they were reading the comics and stuff
Right.
like that.
And I think, what you're saying is awesome. That's what people should be experiencing, but nobody is experiencing it for DC.
No.
I know that's what Gunn wants to do. He wants to start over. Let's consciously build a new universe, but
Right.
starting with like if he's actually starting with Blue Beetle and including that in his roster.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you don't start with Superman,
you start with Batman and Superman. That's the no-brainer for the DC universe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now,
It's understandable because Zack Snyder started with Superman. He started with Superman and then Batman versus Superman. And by the time we got to Justice League, of course the Joss Whedon version was, crap, but people there was a fan base for the Zack Snyder Justice League, but by the time we got there, it didn't feel like it had enough foundation.
right.
And I know that's what James Gunn wants to do, is build the foundation before we get to something interesting, but none of this stuff looks interesting to me.
From the side, kind of sideline point of view, Marvel did it. They started out very well with the individual movies, and seeing other people kind of try to do that, they really, really rushed it in the beginning when they tried to build the universe.
100%.
And seeing someone do it again, for me, it kind of just completely turns me off. To wanting to invest in the DC universe. I just don't want to do it.
And here's kind of, look, everyone's talking about superhero fatigue. I don't think we're necessarily tired of superhero. I think we're tired of seeing superhero the way we've seen it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And to be honest, James Gunn is not going to change that, okay?
Nope.
Just because he has a humorous Guardians of the Galaxy franchise success.
Or a few other interesting things.
Right. It's not, he's not going to change the format. Where are we seeing success right now? We're seeing success with the Batman, the Joker. We're going to see success with the Joker 2. We're going to see success with the Batman 2 Part 2. And honestly, it's because it's these unique directors. You got Matt Reeves with the Batman. He doesn't want to do the superhero thing. What he wants to do is tell his Batman story.
An
with the
interesting
Joker,
story.
They didn't want it to do another Joker thing with Jared Leto and like a copy of Heath Ledger or anything. They wanted to do their own thing, right? Yeah. And that saw success, and that's why they're getting a second film. And hopefully that these part 2s live up to the first films. But that's where you're going to see success with the hero genre. It's not going to be this universe we're trying to open up, another, Marvel has theirs, DC has theirs.
Everybody's trying to open up a universe.
No,
we don't need
what
one.
we need is awesome directors telling a unique superhero film.
Yeah.
And that's what, it's not that we are tired of superheroes, it's that we're tired of the same kind of superheroes in the same universe.
And to wrap it back around based on that point, Black Adam failed because it was just another cog in the wheel of mediocrity. And you can quote me on that. That's an incredible line that I just made up.
We should make a short out of
cog in the wheel of mediocrity. No. But that's what it is. That's why it wasn't successful. That's why people didn't enjoy it. And because it was just another superhero movie.
Yeah.
People are over it. People are tired. He wasn't even a very good anti-hero.
No.
He wasn't like Deadpool or anything.
Mm-mm.
So,
and to be honest, like Deadpool's in the same category. I think that's going to be successful
Yeah.
It's going to just confuse the market, because if these people that really are not fans of Marvel or superhero or DC's, they're not really cinema fans, honestly. Really what they're fans of are making money. They're
Yeah.
investing in these, and they're the ones making the decisions. So they're really confused when something like Deadpool with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine is going to come out and it's going to make a ton of money. And they're
Yeah.
going to be like, all right, let's keep doing a superhero. I mean,
We
we
need
have
funny. We need funny.
we have, I mean, some stuff works. Why does some stuff work and others? It must be the director. It must be who made it. Let's switch them out, right? Let's get Greta Gerwig in here to
Yikes.
direct
Oh my
it.
gosh.
And
But
that's not the case. Really, what it is.
what people want to watch are movies, real
Yes.
movies, not a movie that's part of something necessarily. It would be cool if it's part of something, but we want movies that we can enjoy individually.
I thoroughly enjoyed, and I think it is the most recent Batman, the one with Patterson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
I
Batman.
loved that movie. He
I
did
did too.
so. He did so well. You
And
know,
artistically, Ethan, do you
Yeah.
even listen to our podcast much?
I listen to it occasionally.
So do you know? When I say Greg Fraser, do you know who that is?
I know the
Greg
name, but I
Fraser,
can't.
look,
make
he's the
put it
director of photography. Okay,
He's the reason the movie looks
incredible.
good.
He's also
the
the same
reason
reason Dune looks incredible.
Dune looks
right?
good, and the new movie, The Creator, is
Yes.
going to look good. He's the
Rogue
reason that
One.
Rogue One
looks good. He's the reason why the first season of The Mandalorian looks so awesome. So he is, he's like, I'm convinced, at least visually, I can't speak for all stories, but at least
Visually, he's one of the greatest director of photography.
any movie he touches, yes, 100%.
You can complain about the way that Rogue One is written, about the way that it's paced, about its characters.
You will never complain about the way it looks.
Visually, it is stunning.
Yes.
Yeah, I do have to agree there. It looks
Mhm.
fantastic.
And so
And
the
so does
Batman and
Dune.
Dune and everything, like, these are the stories people want to see. It doesn't matter if it's superhero or not. We want a unique experience.
Mhm.
And these filmmakers, and not just Greg Fraser, but the people that are working closely with him, are doing incredible stuff. Like with the Batman, did you know they filmed the entire film on digital, like digital RE cameras? Then they took that footage, that digital footage, and captured it onto 35 millimeter film, right?
Mhm.
Onto film negatives. They processed it and then fed it back in as a new digital to complete the edit, right? Which means what they did was they shot everything on set in digital for the ease of production. But in the end result, they got that Godfather, that Seven with Brad Pitt and all of those guys, and Morgan Freeman, that film style that looks like it's shot on film, but they didn't have to shoot it on film, but they converted it to film and then put it back into digital, right?
Mhm.
So they got the classic film look to it. And they went through so much effort for movies like that because they're artists, not because
that's
they're
the
people
thing.
trying to make money.
That's the thing. You look at Black Adam and you recognize that the effort into Black Adam, despite what anybody says, Dwayne Johnson included, is not to the level of the Batman, of Dune, of Blade Runner,
No.
of
Notice,
Oppenheimer.
Right now, you're talking about Chris Nolan, Denis Villeneuve, and Matt Reeves.
And I mean, even going back to the Marvel, the Avengers movies, the Russo brothers, even James Gunn in Guardians of the Galaxy, there's real effort behind these movies, behind these, and you look at Shazam, look at Black Adam, the effort it's there. It is. They want to make a movie, but they don't want to make money. They don't want to make an experience.
Yeah, no,
they're creating they're trying to create, just something to put money in their pockets, and they don't have the childlike, this is me kind of thing.
I
That's
think
what all these other movies have, that these really good ones, is behind it. You have a fan base of people who, read the comics, who read the books, like with Dune, and playing on their couch, jumping off, imagining themselves as these iconic characters.
And I think I don't want to shortchange Dwayne Johnson. I think he really did have a passion for the character. I think he really did want to make it something special, but that was him. The people behind it, and maybe he's right about the leadership changing. Maybe he's right about a lot of things happening behind the scenes that he couldn't control, and all he could control was what he could say and what he could do, and that's good. And I do applaud any actor or director, anybody who really has a passion for it. But one person maybe isn't necessarily going to change that.
No. And let's do a quick studio check-in, shall we? Let's talk about Warner Brothers. I would say about 35 to 40% of what they put out, people enjoy, right? Because they also own DC, and that's a cluster right now.
Yeah.
But they also did the Batman. They also did the Joker. They also did Dune, right? So about 40% of what they put out is in good hands, okay? Disney, the past few years, almost about 100% of what they put out, no one's liked. No one's really enjoyed. Universal, they probably got like an 85, 90%, right? Most of all Chris Nolan stuff, right? Well, no, just Oppenheimer.
Just Oppenheimer. That's the only Chris Nolan in Universal right now.
But also all of Steven Spielberg's work. Universal's a pretty good studio as far as viewer satisfaction. Warner
They're
Brothers,
okay.
What I mean, they did, I believe, Ready Player One. There's a whole bunch of stuff that comes out with Universal.
They haven't.
Let's see.
No, Ready Player One was Warner Brothers, wasn't it?
No.
Was that Universal?
I'm about to find out what studio owns Ready Player One.
That might have been Universal.
Oh, wait, you're right. It's Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers. Yeah, we've talked about this before.
We did. I think we talked about it last week.
Space Jam.
That's right.
Yeah, but no, I think Universal's getting better and better. Maybe they learned their mistake after the Jurassic Park debacle, Jurassic World Domination, or whatever that was called. Did you watch that, E?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was very
the second one was bad. The third one was horrendous.
Right.
How many times are they pointing guns at dinosaurs and never shoot them?
Yeah. I
They
think
shoot at each other, but when they need to shoot at a dinosaur, they never point the gun.
The first.
Okay, well, if we can at least talk about Lionsgate. They have a pretty good reputation.
Lionsgate's not bad.
They're getting their John Wick money. You know?
Yeah,
what I mean?
they really are.
John Wick. I really love the franchise.
Yeah.
John Wick fulfills the just absolute action and good fight scenes, and so I can't remember the word.
Kind of what people want. Yeah. DreamWorks.
Yeah.
Doing great with Mario coming out, Illumination and DreamWorks.
Right. Also, Legendary is really good. Legendary, I think they know how to pick them. So I just found out, I believe most of Chris Nolan's movies are created by Legendary, distributed by Warner Brothers. Okay.
Yeah. I'd like to point out, I'm just noticing this now. We're still on our secret agent background for Wiseworks with the guns and the.
Yeah.
Even though this is technically a new season.
Honestly, what? And for viewers at home, we're almost done with the summer season.
Right.
So I'm just gonna all right, this is a parlay of Secret Agent, and this fall we'll come back strong. With the move and everything, we just nobody had time to get the season switched.
No, it's tough.
So, but it's a soft parlay.
Soft parlay.
A soft parlay of Secret Agents.
So we've talked about big movies. We talked about big directors.
Right.
I just kind of want to. I want a soft parlay into our next segment. Talking a little. Yeah. That's not what I was thinking. I always forget about Patreon.
I knew you forgot about it.
You knew it. You didn't even warn me. Josh has the decency to warn me.
Nope.
Call me out.
Nope. I want you to say, let's do a soft parlay.
Wow. Thanks.
Thank you, Karina Wisener, for your
thanking
wonderful
Karina.
support on Patreon.
We do thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us
absolutely.
what she has over there on Patreon, Ethan.
Oh, I have no idea what she has over there.
Ethan's
I'm just
not on the
thanking her.
Patreon.
Look,
No.
But he is right to thank her. We give a lot of benefits over on Patreon. At least we try to, with some exclusive content. Movie commentaries. There's a couple of those, at least 5.
right.
But we plan on making more. And
You get early podcasts.
Early
you get exclusive
podcasts.
pre-show
yes, the
episodes.
pre-show.
We got a handful of exclusive videos about.
There's an entire library of video podcasts for the Midnight Special.
Oh yeah,
so
like
fun.
so many, like a full year's worth
Mm-hmm.
of midnight specials. That means it's got to be at least over 50 midnight special episodes.
That's a
that
lot of
are in
hours.
Video form.
Mm-hmm.
If you were a fan of the midnight special and we don't do it no more, but you're like, man, those are fun conversations. You can go watch the conversations over on Patreon.
And see how we get mad at each other.
Right, because it gets
It gets heated. It gets thick and heavy.
Yeah, thick and
really
heavy. That's what I was looking for, thick and heavy. But thank you, Karina. She over there is experiencing the thick and heavy. And we want you to as well. Just go to the link in the description and select the tier that's the thickest and heaviest that accomplishes your
Mhm.
content needs. All right.
Speaking of thick and heavy, we're talking about Lizzo. No.
Oh, dang.
No.
You guys hear that crazy
That's some
news?
crazy news.
Not
All right,
only was she
Read me in.
okay, so Lizzo is in trouble. This is not a segment, so this is in between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lizzo's in trouble this week because not only was she got some backup dancers for one of her shows or a couple of her shows,
Mm-hmm.
not only are they filing suit for sexual misconduct, basically because she took everybody to a strip club and was pressuring them to do sexual acts with the strippers,
Mm-hmm.
but apparently one person is also saying that Lizzo told them that they were too fat. Which is the best, memeiest thing
It's-
I've
it's
heard
the-
all year.
I've seen so many memes from the boys where Homelander tells A-Train, he's like, I can see your girdle, you fat piece of, and it's like Lizzo talking to her backup dancers.
Right.
Oh my gosh. It's such a weird dichotomy of information
It's
that we're
almost like
living in.
it's almost like she's been propped up as, the queen of the fat fatties.
Right.
And so
So
And
she
so-
somehow has the authority to tell
Well,
someone who's
basically it's
in
almost
shape.
like no one needs to be on stage that's not the fat fatty queen.
Mm.
Only me, right?
Yeah, it's like
So
you
I can
get
be
to a
over
certain
here-
point where you're fit.
Right. So I can be over here basically a whale,
Mm.
but if you gain an extra 15, I'm coming for your neck, right?
Mhm. Well, being the fatty queen is part of her brand.
Right. That people made her the fatty queen.
Yeah.
Now it's gone to her head, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, not
To where she thinks she
necessarily.
can
It's gone to her
sexually
thighs, actually. I know what you were thinking, Ethan.
Well, so she
Well,
thinks that
you're
she
right.
can sexually harass
Yeah,
and
look,
physically harass like we're doing to her.
we laugh like at that, but sexually harassing somebody, especially somebody who's working for you, is, I mean, that sucks. And to be in that environment, especially with somebody who, you've probably listened to their music, you probably appreciate what they did, even for big people, of like, it's like, oh, here's somebody who has, against all the odds and all of the scales,
Right.
made it popular, made it interesting to have this kind of lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then she goes and calls you fat and harasses you and your friend, other coworkers.
I
That
don't.
sucks.
I don't.
I'm
care.
stuck on against all the scales.
I don't okay, for a serious note right here. I don't care who you are, but and I know you can't be responsible for everyone under you, but for those who are right under you, you are personally responsible. Don't make a joke there. You are personally responsible for their well-being, and anyone who decides to take advantage of their immediate subordinates, man, they should just be
she's
whipped
the
and
boss.
thrown into prison.
She's the boss. She is in charge. It's the same issue we had with Ellen DeGeneres yelling and throwing things and like hot soup and boiling water at her at her employees.
Right.
You're responsible for these people.
Yeah.
It's your brand that's paying them. So you need to treat them like professionally.
Yes.
They are not your friends. They are not your slaves.
Right.
You are responsible for their well-being, and to treat them in such a manner is unprofessional.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of performers, especially in artists, fall into that category of kind of abusing their power and really throwing their weight around. Yeah.
I mean, these families and these individuals really rely on you to put food in their mouths.
Not in Lizzo's.
Not in
She's taking that food.
Look, the money
She's
that you
essentially
pay them.
eating the foundation right out from under her. So
we gotta stop.
She's breaking the glass ceiling, but falling through it.
Yeah, it's really a heavy when it comes to these issues. So we gotta move away from that.
Yeah, these kind of topics can get a bit heavy. Let's parlay into the next one.
I can't wait for this.
We're gonna get
so many comments.
So many comments. Look, I do want to be clear. Innocent until proven guilty. We've always said this. Innocent until proven guilty, until we see proof, until there is a court date, until there is a jury. I always believe in the innocent until proven guilty. That's how our justice system works.
Yes.
So, we got to keep that in mind.
Right.
So,
speculation is good, but it's not fact yet.
Right. It's not fact. So, same thing with anybody who's accused of anything.
Mm-hmm.
So that's important. All that being said, let's move in.
Door on the issue. Sorry. Had to sneak in one more.
Let's move into the next topic really quick.
Okay.
Dang.
All right, we got Austin Butler.
Ethan, have you been following the trailers and things for the next Dune movie?
No, but
you're excited to learn.
Everybody wants a bite of Austin Butler.
Right. They really do. He's kind of hot right now. And you know who he's playing, right?
Yeah, he's playing
Fade. He's playing Fade Rotha.
I can never remember the names. I just remember from
in the book, Fade Fade has a confrontation with Paul Atreides.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You kind of understand his origins and everything surrounding him. I wanted to pull up this article. I wanted to talk about it because I love talking about Dune. I love talking about some of this stuff.
And sometimes we have to wait for Joshua to not be on the podcast.
Yeah, to talk about some Dune stuff, to get a little bit excited. I'm excited. I love that they picked him for this role.
Oh yeah, his dome is really working. Really working there.
But I saw this article. I thought it was interesting. Another actor commenting on his performance and who he is as an actor and the way he acts. This is the actor who plays Thufir Hawat, the Mentat.
Okay.
If you guys don't know, he's the guy in the movie who does the creepy eye thing and does calculations.
Mm-hmm.
That's Thufir. He's an interesting character in the book with a cool storyline.
Also, as an actor, he's been around for a
He's
long
good.
time.
Oh yeah,
And he's good.
Legacy actor.
But he says Austin played a character that was not happy with me at all. And he was quite chilling. This makes me really look forward to their interactions in the book. If you guys have seen the old Dune movie, you know Thufir milks a cat. That's not what happens in the book.
oh man, I love
There's no
that
cat milking. But I am looking forward to their interactions. He says, I was giving him back the looks. But when they say cut, he would come over and say, Mr. Henderson, are you okay? Can I help you? Can I get you anything? And he was just so nice. And then we'd go back to roll, and he was on my case. He was so so I just appreciate Austin, a wonderful, wonderful person. That's really cool.
When Austin ran over to him, he was like, "Mr. Henderson,
Mr.
you
Henderson,
you
okay? You okay?
Can I get you anything?"
Still trying to get out of that Elvis character.
Right.
I think it's super cool. You know, we hear about actors often being, you know, they're in the zone, they're in the moment, they're in the character, and then he just like that he switches to, you know, being there for the other actor who is an older actor. He's an older man.
Mhm.
He's in a lot of makeup. He's in a lot of outfit stuff. I'm sure knowing what happens to Thufir Hawat, knowing what happens to his character, he's probably in some sort of, you know, precarious situation.
Right.
And, you know, that's tough for an older gentleman. And I'm really looking forward to seeing this interaction.
Yeah, for sure. It has to probably do when Fade goes to Arrakis, because Thufir's still on Arrakis at the end of the movie, correct?
Well, I Ethan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they bring him. I believe they have a blockade. The Harkonnen family has a blockade around Dune, and they bring him up into their spaceship, which I'm sure is huge, probably almost like a city.
Yeah.
And they keep him there for a while.
This is going to be such an awesome movie. I swear. I hope it's 4 hours.
What do you think, Ethan? We haven't really gotten your opinion. What do you think of this gentleman as Thufir Hawat?
It's kind of. I'm honestly not very good at character analysis, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see when he's.
Everyone has
when he's
opinion.
done.
What did you think of him in the first movie?
Yeah,
he wasn't in it a ton.
His acting was great. You know, the amount of time that he was in it, he did very well. And
yeah.
So, you know, anyone. I don't care what other people say about you as a character. You know, if you manage to make it look good and sound good,
right.
Hey, I'll run with you. You know.
Yeah, agreed. They didn't also in the first movie. They didn't elaborate on what a mentat is, on kind of the history. The fact that Paul Atreides is also a mentat. He's been trained by Thufir with mentat abilities. So, yeah, no, this character is interesting, and I hope we see him more in the next movie, and interactions with Fade, interactions with Baron Harkonnen, or even Raban.
Yeah.
I think is all really good for what we're going to see in the movie moving forward. He's not as huge in the first part of the movie, or even in the first part of the book. In the second part of the book, Thufir becomes very instrumental in what happens towards the end. So I just thought I thought it was a really interesting quote that he had, that Austin Butler is
out here being sweet on the other actor.
He's being sweet, but then when he's in the role, he's in the role.
He's committed.
That's what
which makes
about good actors. Good actors can take their role off like a jacket and then put it right back.
Hold on. So I have to bring up a case to parlay this. Let's see here. So cast of Lincoln. All right. So Daniel Day-Lewis
Okay. All right.
He
We
is
bringing
a
Daniel Day-Lewis into this.
he is a
I've
as well as
abandoned my child.
as well as Christian Bale.
Mm.
We're talking about actors who stay in their role, method acting, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The whole production. They are good actors. They are great actors.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get someone like Austin Butler, who is a great actor, who can take his, to coin your phrase, take his acting off like a jacket, his character off like a jacket. Which is, I mean, there it could just be two methods, but which is better? Who ends up being the stronger character?
I don't think it's based on solely what an act like the way an actor does things. It's based on the performance.
Mm-hmm.
We know that Austin Butler was doing some method acting in Elvis.
Oh, definitely.
100%. But I think a good actor knows when
to stop.
When to stop. When he sees that a coworker and a friend is, maybe needs something or needs some help, or they really understand and appreciate who they're working with.
Mm-hmm.
He recognized clearly that this older actor maybe needed some help, and didn't want to method act his way through that interaction. He just wanted to be kind and be helpful.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a good actor understands when is the appropriate moment to method act, and when is the appropriate moment to, as Ethan said, take the jacket off.
Yeah.
That's true. You also have someone like Christian Bale, who is a great actor, who we look at his career and think like he's definitely method acted for the wrong things. You know what I mean?
But do you think he was method acting for the Batman, and if he saw Michael Caine needing something, that he would method act as Bruce Wayne?
It's not even so much about in between takes staying in character. It's more about how committed to the character's lifestyle are you,
Right, and that's fine, but we know that Jared Leto, for example, was just staying in character the entire time. Just being a mischievous little guy, little creature.
For
between,
a Joker that no one cares about.
Yeah, for a Joker that, and I applaud his performance. It's not a bad performance, but
it was in the wrong hands.
But did it need to that much method acting?
Some people, when it comes to the different styles of, acting, some people are better than others at doing method acting, while others are not. I mean, you have the kind of people who can get into a role, and I'm just gonna use how they depicted that character in Tropic Thunder. Who
Robert Downey Jr.?
Yeah, who played the black guy who just kind of stayed in character the whole movie.
He is a white guy.
Yeah, he was a white guy who stayed in the character as a black guy the whole movie, and then he realized who he was near the end. They get into a psychological mindset where they almost believe that they're that person, and it helps them act. And
I don't know that they believe that they are the character.
They don't.
I think I think the real acting, the real method acting, is believing that you are the guy who believes.
Yeah,
you are the guy who is the method actor. That's the real challenge, is getting into the mindset of, I'm that guy. I'm that guy who can go to any length to make this character as real as possible. And I think often you trick yourself into thinking that there's nothing more important than that, but there is.
Look,
you're the comfort of your coworkers, the ability of the director, and the entire cast and everybody who's working on this film. You don't want to be the guy who, because of their method acting, is hindering this production.
Yeah, because I mean, when it comes down to it, as an actor, you are responsible for your role, but you still have
Yes.
to be conscious of the people around you, and the
Mhm.
actors who lose sight of other people for their own role. You know, it's hard for me to get on their bandwagon because
Yeah.
of their selfishness.
Yeah,
Their
because
lack of care
you
for other
just
people.
recognize that, it's always cool to see an actor really taking seriously what they're doing
Yeah,
and
I love
trying to create the best character possible. But you're right, if they're choosing that over the comfort and safety and, um, uh, production, I guess, of everything and their other
Mhm.
coworkers, then it is hard to get on their bandwagon and see what they're doing.
An
Look,
actor by nature is the center of attention for pretty
Mm,
much everything in their life, and when they can put that aside and focus on others, you know,
yeah, that's
that's
what I thought was
that's
cool
what I
about the
want to see.
quote.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool that Austin Butler, who's just been in a very large movie of
mm,
Elvis, and is starring in a large movie with Dune, is taking the time to uh, kind of be considerate of his actors.
Mhm.
Now, this is all hearsay. He may be an asshole behind the scenes.
Yeah.
We don't know. All we know is that this gentleman made it clear that he was kind to him, and that's cool.
Well,
Yeah.
I heard a story about Anthony Hopkins being considerate of somebody that it got him riled up and got a
Hmm.
dude fired because he was being considerate. So there's a production assistant, this guy that I met. I went to like a
Hmm.
production assistant class in Charleston, South Carolina with this guy. He was on set with Anthony Hopkins. He was actually driving him to the next site, the next location that they were filming at. So it was like down the road, right?
Mm.
So he was going to be the driver for Anthony Hopkins. A couple miles down the road, Anthony Hopkins gets in the vehicle, and the catering person is walking near the vehicle and drops everything, like all the
Hmm.
stuff on the ground, right? He thinks my job is to get Anthony Hopkins to set. I am not going to take up this guy's time. I can't get out of the car and help this person, right?
Hmm.
Because he has to get Anthony Hopkins to set. You know what I mean?
Right.
Anthony Hopkins looks at him and says, "Why are you not getting out of the car and helping that person?" And he's like, I need to get you to set. And he starts getting really upset about, being a gentleman and people not being considerate of other people,
Mhm.
whether it's above the line or below the line on set. And then he gets fired because he made Anthony Hopkins upset.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So there's
Yeah.
almost like when you're being
Damned if you do,
considerate,
damned if you
damned
don't.
if you do, damned if you don't.
It's like,
Yeah.
And
do I do my job to the letter, to the T, and as well as I can possibly do it?
also, if he
Or
doesn't get Anthony Hopkins to set on time, the whole production loses money, right?
right.
Mhm.
Now, I think I think it's up to like moral discretion. Do I help that person or do I take Anthony Hopkins? And in this case, in Anthony Hopkins' eyes, it was more important that you help that person than to get him to set.
Yeah.
You just have to kind of find the middle ground, make the decision yourself.
I'm gonna
Mhm.
be honest. I would have done exactly the same thing. I would have started driving away with Anthony
I
Hopkins.
would have said, my job is to get you to set. My job is not to help that person.
Mhm.
If you were
Um,
my coworker and somebody dropped something, well, I'd be like, let's get out and help this person.
mhm.
But you're
Mhm.
Anthony Hopkins and you got somewhere to be. You know what I mean?
However, I do believe I probably would have hit that mirror and been like, "Yo, Anthony, you want me to try to get you to set, or you want me to help this person,
Right,
right?
yeah.
Throw it in
What do
his
you,
ball
what?
field.
Yeah, throw the ball into his field and say, "What do you want me to do?"
Right. I've
Because
heard
you're the boss, you're in charge.
yeah, this is not necessarily for on set, but a cool fact I learned about going to some of these film classes with high stars. They don't have like a chauffeur in an Escalade driving them from set to set. You're hopping in like someone's minivan to go. Like if the production assistant drives a minivan and you have to get them from one set to the next, They're getting in your
Minivan time.
They're getting in your minivan and you're driving them over there. So it's
Yeah.
not like we always think of stars, and they do, at the events, drive up in the Escalades and the limos. But when you're on set, it's just kind of like, it's got
use
4
what's
wheels
there.
and it moves over 35 miles an hour.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, kind of moving on from here.
Yes.
And just as a hard parlay, we've done a couple soft parlays, but as a hard parlay, really quick, just kind of to wrap up this episode, I wanted to look at the box office for TMNT Mutant Mayhem. And I picked this picture because
Why?
it really is. I
What?
love it.
What?
I love this picture.
These are action figures.
No. They're
No.
drawings.
They're
That's
drawings.
They're drawings.
the whole movie is in that style.
Yeah, I love this animation. Just kind of rugged, kind of, kind of dirty. I love it.
Wonky.
Wonky, and this says the turtle's lumpy, imperfect, asymmetrical. Very cool. I love this kind of art style.
Yeah.
But I just want to really quickly, Joe, if you have the time, pull up the IMDb for the
Turtles.
the Mutant Mayhem movie, because it just came out about 2 days ago.
All right.
And let's look at kind of what our opening box office is here.
Okay.
Because I think this is kind of gonna tell the story of where people are sitting on this movie.
All right. So U.S. Canada 15 million.
This is now it
Gross
opened up
worldwide.
Thursday, so we won't really know like big box office numbers until Sunday,
Right.
Monday.
Mm-hmm.
15 mil is not super great.
But it's when we're recording this is Saturday morning. Most
Been
people are
out-
going to get to the theaters
Been
tonight.
out for 2 days.
2 days, and we got 2 more days to go.
Right. 15 mil still
If
isn't
this makes
great.
75, is it a
Friday
success?
night has come and gone.
Friday night has come and gone.
Friday night is a big night for movies. 15 mil. This is easily, an expensive movie.
How much did it cost to make the movie in the first place?
Yeah. Do we have numbers on
Usually
that?
it's sitting right here. See details.
All right. So we don't know exactly.
Yeah, usually it's sitting right here, but let me just Google it real quick.
I'm going to call this a 150. Movie.
$150 million.
150 mil. We've got a big cast, lots of high tier actors. The movie visually animated style looks really good. You charge a lot of money for that kind of work, for that kind of detail, for that kind of stuff. 15 mil. We haven't seen worldwide what it's going to make, but 15 mil domestic is not great. It's not terrible.
This is just Google. Shabby for all the TMNT entirety, which is only 70 million. This is a moment from some article, variety.com. Okay. Let's see.
What did they
share
say?
this tab. So Meg Race 2, Oppenheimer 2nd, Barbie Rain Comes. Okay, so different features grossing north. Preparing Mutant Mayhem on Friday with 9.3 million on Friday. Now tracking for a 24 million estimated 5-day
42.
or 42. Yeah.
That's not a lot of money.
No.
How
For
much?
5
How
days.
much was this? How much did this movie cost?
That's not too shabby at all for the TMNT entry, which costs only $70 million
mil.
to produce.
Okay, that's not bad, but a movie like this, come on.
Yeah,
We
that's
should not
true.
be shooting for 70 mil. We
We
should be
saw
shooting
the-
for $500 million for this movie.
If freaking Mario comes out with that kind of money, then
Did you see
think,
Mario, Ethan?
Not yet.
Okay.
Boo.
Mario was amazing, and it made a lot of money. And a movie like this with this kind of cool, rugged, fun animation and
Right.
cast, we shouldn't be shooting for 70 mil to make our money back.
No,
What?
that's what John Wick made in one weekend.
Exactly. And Barbie made a ton of money. We're not comparing this to Barbie or Oppenheimer.
This is also
but
for kids.
opening weekend for Mario was huge.
Yes.
This is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
It's for kids. This is now Barbie, because of the movie, is probably considered not for kids based on what I've heard, right?
Yeah, but this is for kids.
This is for kids. This is the family movie.
And not only for kids, it should be for 90s kids.
This is the family
For
movie.
adults, this should be the family movie. Why are we not seeing a bigger opening box office? It's been 2 days. We should already have hit 70 mil.
All right, let's think about it. Do we have theater fatigue from July?
No.
We had
There's no such
Barbie,
thing.
we
No,
had
wrong. No
Oppenheimer,
such thing.
and we had Mission Impossible all come out roughly in July.
And what we know of general audiences as
We also had
families,
Insidious, and we also had Sound of
families
Freedom.
and individuals, you pick 1 to 2 movies a month that you go see. It's a new month. It's
All right.
August.
All right, and people chose Barbie and Sound of Freedom. That's what people chose.
Right, but I think people can still choose to go watch this, and we're not seeing enough of that. Maybe it's just bad timing, but this should be a hit, you know?
Mm-hmm. No, it should be a hit. And do you think maybe because it's been marketed so heavy as Seth Rogen that some parents aren't taking their kids to watch it?
That could
Because
be
Seth
it.
Rogen has always been the dirty Pineapple Express style,
That could be it.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we just watched what did we watch, Ethan? Superbad? I mean,
Mhm.
you know Seth Rogen's humor and writing is raunchy.
Yeah.
It really is.
It was
It's
hard to
raunchy.
watch that movie.
And so think about what a lot of parents are thinking right now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of parents,
They're
in
going to
our day
sneak
and
one
age,
past the goalie.
they grew up watching Superbad, so their kids are young, and the parents are a fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but you see
They
Seth
don't want their
Rogen on the
kids
title.
they don't want their kids to be watching Seth Rogen movies.
I don't think that's a big enough factor. I'm gonna give this one mainly to timing and I don't know, maybe marketing. I don't think they marketed this movie super great.
I don't know about that because it's been everywhere.
It has been everywhere.
I've seen it everywhere. I just think people, there's no way to time the market right now. You make a movie that people are interested in right now or you don't, okay? People are interested in Mario. People are interested in Chris Nolan. People are interested in Barbie. People are not as interested in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We've seen it 5 different ways on screen. You know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm. But do we want to even go as far as to say that the fatigue for maybe the style, like Seth Rogen's style of politics, maybe people have recognized that there's some political stuff in this, and people who are familiar with Seth Rogen understand what he does with his productions. Look, Invincible.
No, I think you're mistaken with thinking that the majority of people know the Seth Rogen vibe on set, you know, because to be fair, with respect to you, co-host Wyatt, I have not heard much about Seth Rogen's politics outside of you.
Okay.
I don't hear people talking about that. And so I don't think that's a factor. I don't think people even know what Seth Rogen thinks about politically because also you're not really watching Seth Rogen interviews. He's not a star in the way that people are stars, you know?
Right.
A video where you're trying to, and this might hurt his feelings. He's not going to watch this, but this might hurt his feelings.
If he does.
You get Seth Rogen and who's the girl from Wednesday?
Jenna Ortega.
Nice.
On Hot
Good
Ones.
call on that, Ethan.
Great call.
You knew
Jen-
exactly who you were talking about. The hesitation was faked.
Yeah. you get
Jenna
two of those
Ortega.
things-
Oh,
you can put both of them on Hot Ones same week.
mm-hmm.
Which one are you watching?
Jenna Ortega.
Jenna
Jenna
Ortega.
Ortega. Oh yeah.
Because
Look.
I want to say because she's more fresh. People don't know as much about her as they do Seth Rogen.
Put Johnny Depp on Hot Ones next to Seth Rogen. Which one are you watching?
Johnny Depp.
Put Christian Bale and Seth Rogen next to each other on Hot Ones. Which one are you watching?
We know Seth Bale's vibe. Seth Bale. We know Seth Rogen's vibe. I get what you're getting at. But based on everything we've said, we haven't come to any conclusion as to why this movie isn't doing as good as it should be doing.
There is fatigue about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
So you think that
in general,
it's the TMNT fatigue.
It's the same reason why. Look, we don't see TMNT as often as we see superheroes, but it's the same reason why people have superhero fatigue.
Another origin story for the Turtles.
Yes, we know everything about Turtles.
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles thing.
What are we going to do different?
It really just kind of
we're gonna make April look like Lizzo,
right? Short,
irrelevant.
People are way more interested in seeing something fresh. Like we go all the way back to the beginning of the podcast. What is fresh in the superhero world? The Batman, the Dark Joker, the Dark Knight. Let's go to that. What freaking people, directors and creators that are doing something fresh. This is fresh in maybe the style, but it's not fresh in concept. We've seen TMNT plenty of times, and I think people are more inclined to watch this when it comes out on streaming, way more than people are interested in going to the movie theaters to watch this, right?
I kind of feel that. I think in the long run, it'll make all the money it needs to.
Because
it'll make the money it needs to, but it's not going to make the money it should be making. Mm-hmm. A movie like this, with cool animation, with cool 90s nostalgia, we've established in the past that those movies make good money.
Sort of. Sometimes
I want to say for the most part that movies with good nostalgia, with good vibes, like this movie has had in a lot of the trailers, should be making more money with the crowd our age and their kids. And for some reason, this one's not doing it. It could be for the turtle fatigue.
Maybe.
I think it's more. I think it probably is closer to bad timing than anything else, but it really is a weird situation for me with this one. And
I think this you're probably onto something. If this came out in, let's say October, to get that dress up culture for Halloween.
Yeah,
I think this could have really went somewhere in October.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of mutants in this movie coming out October for Halloween.
All the kids go to the movie
time
theater
to release this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, we just came off of the Across the Spider-Verse.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen all the kids have seen the animation.
Yeah,
this movie it's cool, but it's still just cell shaded 3D animation,
right?
That we've been seeing for a while now, and which is cool looking and is awesome and rugged and sick. But we just came off of some really cool animation.
Mm-hmm.
They needed to wait a while before they
needed to wait 3 more months, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
The end of October, you probably would have hit a much more happy ending. Hit the end of the box office weekend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
When someone thinks about Halloween, they think about, superhero dress up.
Costume ideas.
Yeah. One of the first things you think about are Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because that 100%. Is like, a shell you put on. I think about the shell and the mask.
Like there's 4 of us brothers, Ethan. We could do Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
We could do Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I thought we were going to do Rick Astley's different outfits from his Never Gonna Get
I think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles would be more fun, personally.
Well, but hey,
For four of us, there's four of us. Come on.
we could do that.
I'm obviously Raphael.
I don't know. I'm probably Leo. John Mark is probably
You're
Don.
Leo. Yeah. Williams, Mikey, John Mark's Donnie.
This is the energy we needed for this movie. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We needed some of this Halloween energy.
And you know what? Maybe that's a big thing. The memes weren't there for this movie.
Right.
Barbie and Oppenheimer got such a big meme push.
Yes.
Movies movies need meme pushes nowadays.
They definitely need meme push. Look, entire families of 4 are doing the TMNT.
And I applaud the marketing for TMNT. They got the I Love Turtles kid back.
Right.
Did you see that? I like Turtles.
I didn't see it.
They got him back. He's an adult now.
Right.
And they dressed him up in the paint. It was awesome. It was a great marketing strat. But man, I'm really
just
confused.
Look, I would say let's find out. Let's find out in once it comes out on streaming. See how the numbers are. I bet you people are way more interested in watching this on streaming than in theaters. And with that, it comes to a slow and uninteresting, book closed on how the Turtles sits with culture. You know what I mean?
What is that?
It's a knife.
What kind?
I was gonna think close the book, and so I thought I picked up something I could close. Right?
Oh, okay.
I'm a visual person.
Gotcha.
But
no, that's cool.
So
yeah, no, I agree. And kind of closing out thoughts on this podcast. I don't know. Seeing kind of the trailers, I don't know that I'm going to see the Turtles in theaters. But you're right. Streaming is what people are looking to nowadays for their content.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is for me. It's always been kind of a couch sitting kind of thing. I want to watch it with, a hot drink and a blanket. It's
I thought you were about to say a hot babe. And a blanket.
It's
come on, babe. Let's sit down and watch the Turtles.
Yeah,
Cowabunga.
It's a comfort thing.
Yeah.
And so I want to be at home. I want to be comfortable when I'm watching, that kind of movie,
that kind of action.
So
fun.
I think it will really make its money back and get its watching value as it comes out on the streaming services when you can do that.
Definitely. Hey, thank you, Ethan, for showing up today on today's podcast.
I am here
to
be a placeholder anytime.
You'll be a placeholder next week for your brother?
I'll be a placeholder anytime I need to be. The thing is, with me, you kind of just have to realize that, the entertainment world is not I don't live in it. It's my neighbor.
Don't reveal.
It's my neighbor, so it's
don't
over
short
there.
Sell. You have knowledge and recognition of visual storytelling and storytelling for characters in general.
I'm a consumer to the core.
Yeah. So no, it's good to have you on and get that kind of opinion. And I think people will appreciate that.
Look, the real value is when we hit like puns. So when we get on like that Lizzo energy, we need someone who's going to bring the thunder. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think you got the brain in order to, when we hit them kind of segments, that's when we need that third voice. That's when we need them giggles. And that's all that is required to be on this podcast.
That third chin, if you will.
Yeah, that third chin.